Well, hi guys. Okay, Chad just called. He is rushing home, so we're just gonna talk for a minute. Let me put my phone down. I'm gonna leave it on in case he has to call. He is rushing home to join us. So let's go ahead and talk for just a little bit. Maybe some people can start to join us. I'm hoping that this is actually broadcasting live. It is our first try at this with a StreamYard. It is amazing. It's one of the easiest programs. So I hope that you guys are joining us. Please check out Pure Prison, Pure Dash Prison on Facebook, on YouTube, on Spotify. We do have a Twitch account. It is 954-305. We also of course, please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. That's Pure Dash Prison. That is where we can be found on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, our Facebook group, our Facebook page, and Twitter. I would love to give a shout out every single Sunday at 6 o'clock or right around that time. I usually post for all the small businesses to get hold of us and post a picture of what they have. You're going to find a lot of amazing things there. A couple shout outs. Tina Corley, that's my girl. Listen, they have real meat, real pork, pigs that are fed by hand. They're groomed and butchered. It's an amazing way to support small farmers and small businesses. Also, my girl, you guys have got to check her out. Her name is Crystal Lee. My God, if you're hungry, please check her out. She's got some amazing sandwiches. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm just reading. Apparently, this is not going live. I'm not really sure what's happening. All right. Well, here is Chad Marks, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. Let me go ahead and bring Chad on. Hey, Chad, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Are you out? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can
I can
hear
hear
you.
you. We're good.
Then
Okay.
we're good. So you were rushing home. I know you. Take a breath. Take a breath. I know you were
No,
rushing to join us, man.
I'm good. I was driving. We're good.
All right. So listen, I actually, I believe I contacted you. I saw you on YouTube. I believe it was on DOC TV.
Okay.
Um, Amazing. Just I'm absolutely amazed. By the way, everybody, I want to tell you, I've been talking about you a little bit on Facebook. This is Chad Marks, guys. This is the author of Blood on the Razor Wire, right? Is that the name of the title?
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Blood on the Razor Wire. I actually ordered it today. It's going to be here on the 23rd. So I'm super excited. I've heard nothing but good comments about it. So go ahead and just tell us a little bit. I know that you were sentenced to 40 years in feds. You were at one of the worst penitentiaries that there is, Big Sandy. A lot goes on there. It's totally different for women than it is for men. I did 8.5 years. So go ahead and just tell us a little bit about your beginnings.
Okay. So my name is Chad Marks. I'm from Rochester, New York. At the age of 24, I was sentenced to a mandatory minimum of 40 years. I went to prison. I wasn't always a nice guy, but after 7 or 8 years, I started to change my life. I started working in the law library, started trying to get myself out of prison. And I was able to become one of the best jailhouse lawyers in the federal prison system. I ended up writing my own motion, eventually was represented by some other lawyers, but I had got the process started and I was released on compassionate release on June 25th, 2020.
That is amazing. While you were incarcerated, you did some amazing things. Not only completed copious amounts of programs for betterment, but you implemented, from my reading, a reentry thing at your prison, correct?
Yeah, I did a reentry program when I was in Waybrook, New York. I wrote that reentry program. I taught GED classes. I started a fast track GED class. And what I did was I took about 15 prisoners that had been in this GED class for 3 years. They couldn't get their GED. They didn't care about themselves. They didn't believe in themselves. So I started that fast track GED program, and within 79 days or 89 days, every one of my students got their GED.
Listen,
Right after that, the education department fired me.
listen. Since you brought that up, because my main two platforms, of course, are reentry reform and recidivism. It's got to be, there has to be a change made. And since you brought that up, I would like to speak about, I don't know if it's the same in feds as it is in the state penitentiaries, but the longer that your sentence is, the less opportunity you have to educate yourself. Is that true in the feds also?
Yeah, like, I mean, what they do is they'll take guys that are getting out earlier, and they'll be the ones allowed to take the programs. But I'm a firm believer that reentry starts on day one, as soon as you walk into the prison. So, I mean, their ideology is just absolutely outrageous.
Yeah. Well, they don't count to me. They've never been incarcerated. Quite frankly, they don't. Until it happens to a loved one, they don't know the truth. I'm totally about making people aware of the situations that truly go on. There's so much good information on all of the podcasts I've seen you on. So you did 17 years. You had your compassionate release. Who approved that for you?
Well, my judge did. We went to the judge, said there was extraordinary and compelling reasons to reduce the sentence. One was the changes from the First Step Act. Although they weren't made retroactive, the laws that I was sentenced under, they changed them, but didn't make them retroactive. So I argued that, plus my rehabilitation, was an extraordinary and compelling reason to reduce the sentence. I had wrote the first article about this issue that ever came out. It was in the Criminal Legal News and the Prisoner Legal News. So I really kind of like broke open that article, but there were other lawyers working on it and other people. And I also wrote the first compassionate release motion to win. It was for Conrado Camp 2 out of Texas. And after that, it was just the floodgates started to open, and people's eyes were starting to open, and people were like, hey, this is a real way to get out of prison if you behaved yourself and you're rehabilitated and you did programs in conjunction with the changes in law. So it helped thousands of people.
Absolutely. Now, I was reading in one of the articles, and basically it said that you simply had a desire to see sentencing being fair based upon the law and proportionate to the crime. That's not the case in the United States, is it?
Not at all. I was a nonviolent drug offender. And to some people, that might sound, kind of like, what do you mean? Because I had gun charges, but I had what's called 18 U.S.C. 924C, stack 924C, right? So what that is for the first gun, you get 5 years. For each additional gun, you get 25 years. And not only that, it has to run wild to whatever you get on the drugs. But the statute specifically says possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime and or a crime of violence. So they allege that I possessed, and some of your viewers might find this, odd, but I got 5 years for a 12-gauge shotgun and 25 years for a 22 rifle. And what happened was Congress changed those laws. And when they changed those laws, they now made it so it wasn't, 25 years, but that it was 5 years, and it was a true recidivist enhancement. So that means if I would have went to prison, didn't learn my lesson, got out and carried a gun and drugs again, then I would get the second 25 years. But what law enforcement was doing at the time was they would bust you, let you go, because they got that first gun, but they know it's only 5 years. So wait another week or two, you get another gun, and then they'll bust you. Now they can give you 30 years. And some people got 100, 200, 300 years for that.
Just racking them up.
And you would think law enforcement wants to arrest you because you're a threat to public safety. At least that's what they tell the court, right? Then why didn't you arrest me the first time you had the gun? Why did you leave me out there?
Right. I mean, there's so many things to be done with this justice system. And I just want to go to something else that you said. You said it's not that you ever wanted a second chance to reclaim your life for free, but you wanted to earn your second chance. I love that.
Where did you that was in a letter to my judge, I think, or on one of my motions, I think, right?
I don't know where it was, but I got it printed right here. And yeah. I think it was, I'm not sure, but
it might have came off the FAM website. Yeah, I told my judge, I said, look, I don't want you to let me out of jail for free. I want to earn it because I know that I'll appreciate it. And that's what I did. I completed over 100 programs. I facilitated alternative violence project seminars. I wrote programs, reentry programs. I taught leadership classes. I wanted to earn it because if you earn something, you never want to lose it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now you you did mention that there was only one choice for you, and that was to educate yourself, because basically you were looking at not getting out till you were old.
Yeah,
Old.
I've been
So
about 64.
yeah, so you were one of those people that I admire. I mean, I admire the people that could go in there to that law library and learn. But what you did is you started helping others. You started helping them win their cases before you even got yours done, man. What's on with that?
Well, like I said, as I was learning the law, I knew I had a big battle because my prosecutor had a personal vendetta against me. So I knew that it was going to be an uphill battle for me. But as I began to learn the law, it was just kind of natural for me. And people would come in the law library and I'd look at their case and they'd say, hey, can you check this out? In the beginning, I didn't really want to do that, because I was afraid to, I don't want to say experiment, but that's what I was doing. If I was
Right.
helping you in the beginning, I was experimenting. So I wrote my first 2255 for a guy out of Florida and I won it. It was the first case I ever did and I won it. And it was just kind of a natural ability. So I started winning a lot of cases. I mean, I got 2 guys out since I've been out of prison. I got 2 guys out that had life. While I was in prison, I won some really big cases, 35 years, 50 years, but I had never won on a life sentence. When I got out, I won a life sentence for Lonnie Lee Nichols. He had 17 years in. I got him released. We had no lawyer. We had no help. And it was a tough case out of Florida. And we won it. And I did another case for a guy named Ronnie Lauderdale. He came to me in the law library. And he said, hey, Chad, man, this is my situation. And I was like, we're not going to win this case. But, if you want to give it a shot with your judge, it's not going to happen. Well, I got out June 25th. I had wrote all this stuff in prison. On June 26th, the day after me, he was released from prison, too, from his life. So
I know that's what's up. Now, I was watching something right before we got on. I do know that there's another case that's really close to your heart. Do you want to talk about that?
which one? I got a couple that are really.
I know that you have a bestie back there still, right?
I got a couple really good friends that I care about.
Go ahead.
Bradley Barnt is a real good friend of mine. He has he's serving 20 years under the same laws that got changed. He's been in about 11. He deserves to get out. I got his stuff in court. It's pending. Christopher Hunter, one of my best friends, 35 years for a nonviolent drug crime. He's been in 15 years. He's about 48, 49 years old.
Time to come home. Nonviolent drug charge. It's time to come home.
You might be talking about the one that's close to my heart was Jimmy Romans, but some people might not know. I wrote his clemency petition while we were in prison, and Donald Trump released him on his last day. That was the one that was closest to my heart. So he did get out. I
think that's the one I just heard you talking about. And that is incredible. That is incredible. Good work. Now, let's see. I just want to go to a couple points that I read that were just amazing. Said that your judge scolded you at one point for not being remorseful. And what you said in this next sentence, it resonated with me because I did too. Oh, I heard him, but I didn't understand it yet because you said it has taken me almost a decade to realize there's no one to blame for my situation but myself.
Well, for a long time, my judge, I was 24 years old. I was sentenced to 40 years. And I wanted to blame the judge. That was the easy route, right? To just say, you know what? He was nasty. He did these bad things to me. But there was a mandatory minimum in my case, too. He had no choice. He had to give me 40 years. And it's easy to play the blame game because you're so miserable. You're so hurt. You're devastated. And you said, God, I came in at 24 and now I'm going to get out when I'm 64. What's the sense of getting out? I'm going to be like the Shawshank Redemption guy. But let me tell you this and tell your viewers this. It did. It took me almost a decade to realize the things that my judge was telling me. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. I committed crimes. I deserved to go to prison. He had no latitude. He had to give me the mandatory minimum. But I can tell you today that I respect him more than any person that I've ever respected in my life. And I respect him because he went out on a limb. He's seen the change in me and he believed in me. And I had wrote him a letter, a few years ago, and I said, I know there's no one to blame, but I want you to know that if I had a father like you, I wouldn't be in prison. I never had a father figure. My father was a drug addict. He died when I was young, when I was about 13. My brother had killed himself. So I had some devastating things that happened in my life. And when I talk about the judge, I mean, I respect this guy. He wrote me a letter 2 months ago and said after COVID, he'd like to sit down and talk to me. I'm free now. I don't have to go talk to the judge, but I want to because I respect him and I admire him.
Well, he must see something in you too. He must have some respect there for you to reach out. So I really love that. You also said, when it is coming to terms with the fact that when you've done wrong and you own it, you're able to change inside. You're able to start making conscious decisions, cognitive behavior start to change, um, things like that. What kind of changes did you start implementing? Let me say this: a men's prison is different than a women's prison.
Yeah.
Men have to do certain things that women do not to get by on a daily basis. Affiliations, associates, whatever the case may be. I know that you had gone through some of that, and then I knew that there was an end to that also, right?
Yeah, what happens is I think people grow up. You grow up. There comes a point when you grow up and you say, you know what? I appreciate my freedom. I'm not a kid anymore. I don't have to act like an animal. I don't have to do bad things. And I was stabbed in federal prison. I've been stabbed in there, right? So around the time that I was stabbed, I think that was when my mindset started to change in the beginning. And then a year later, I went to another prison after I was stabbed, and all that stuff happened. And I had met a dude in there named Cedric Dean. And he had told me, he said, man, what do you want to do? You want to spend the next 40 years in here and have the white G-Shock watch and Nike sunglasses and the brand new shoes and just do 40 years? Or when they bring parole back, don't you want to go out there and tell them, look, I got these programs. I changed my life. This is who I am. And I really took heed to that. And he told me, hey, come to my Leaders Breed Leaders class. And I did. And that's when things started to click. And I said, I don't want to live that life no more. I had seen people killed in prison. Like I witnessed people be murdered.
I don't doubt that at all.
And I'll tell you, it has an effect on you mentally and emotionally, and it's just, you start to say, man, I don't want to live this life. And you have to change your character. It's about character change.
Absolutely.
And appreciation for freedom. And that's when I changed my life.
Absolutely. The same thing happened to me. In fact, just very quickly, it just kind of, it's funny how it all tied in right before we got on the broadcast. Someone had reached out to me, and it's a friend of mine, and she says, "This is awesome, girl. I'm so proud of you. Before you were the tough girl. Now you did your time and shining bright and trying to help others. You were that tough guy, weren't you?"
I mean, I'm still a tough guy, but I'm more respectful. We'll put it that way.
I know that's right.
And I'm not, like I used to, there have been times in prison where some people didn't know me, and I had went down to a lower level security. I ended up in a low for my last 9 months. And I would, I had to tell people on a couple of occasions, I said, look, I'm a gentleman, but I was a gangster and I can be that dude, but I don't want to be that dude, but I can be. So respect me the same way that I respect you. Men respect men. And I was in a prison where these guys are stealing. They're getting high on K2. It was absolutely, these are guys serving 3, 4, 5 years. It doesn't hurt them. They don't know what it's like to be behind the wall with a 40-year sentence, fighting for your life, fighting for your freedom. Right. So that's when I started to change. And I mean, but I was letting people know, like, hey, just respect me and I'm going to respect you.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now, I want to talk about you, freedom fighters. Isn't that a part of, talk a little bit about that, please. What's
okay.
Up?
So, I was winning a lot of cases. I won more cases than a lot of people, lawyers included, right?
Lawyers.
Not to be arrogant, but I won them because I care, because I know what the pain is like to want to go home, to think that no one here is going to help you. So I would put my all into these cases. And I had a vision that if I ever got out of prison, I was going to start this paralegal and prison consultant firm called Freedom Fighters, right? So I ended up having a lady from the Federal Defender's Office that contacted me, and she helped me tremendously from my city to help me get out of prison. Lisa Jacoby.
There you go, because she deserves a big shout out. That woman worked miracles, man.
100%. Lisa's a phenomenal person, did so much for me. So I told her what my vision was with Freedom Fighters, and honestly, we started it while I was in prison, and the government brought that up to try to keep me in jail. They said he's doing legal work in jail, and he's getting paid for it, and he's breaking the rules, Judge. And my judge says, listen, I'm not concerned with that stuff. So we started Freedom Fighters while I was in jail. She would do some of the cases. I would do some. And when I got out, it just, the company took off. We've done some pro bono cases. We've helped people that don't have money. Some of the clemencies that were granted, we didn't charge people. Man. But we do charge a fee for some stuff because it cost us money. But yeah, Freedom Fighters is up. It's going. People can check us out at www.myfreedomfighters.com. we win cases.
Freedom Fighters, FIGHT.com. I'm going to put that up really quick on it's plural banners. There we go. So let's talk a little bit about the reentry and reform. What do you want to do? What's your mission there? What's your plans, goals?
Well, when I got out of prison, right, the thing that was hardest for me was housing. I had money and I couldn't even get a place to rent. Like even if you didn't check the box to say that you were a felon at some of these apartment complexes, they looked anyway. So in the beginning, I wasn't even, I put I was a felon and they just passed me by. But then I just stopped checking the box and they still passed me by. And, by the grace of God, I ended up getting a nice townhouse out in the suburbs, but it took a long time, being able to use a credit card. I'm still nervous using a credit card because I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want people to be behind me and say, look at this dude, 40-year-old dude, he can't even use a credit card. So what I was trying to do was put a reentry house together where dudes could come out. They got a place to stay. We got computers in there. We can teach them some skills because let's be honest, a lot of times in prison, these programs are nonsense. They're bullcrap. You're not really teaching people real life skills. You're putting stuff on paper to say that you ran some programs. The programs that I ran, and I'm going to give you an example why I say that because I don't want your viewers to think, oh, wow. I had a class called Leaders Breed Leaders with Cedric Dean. And I had Nelson Mandela on my flyer. And I would have dudes come into class, right? And I would ask them. I said, let me see your hands of who just wants a certificate, who just wants to be here for the certificate. And I'd get 2 or 3 dudes to raise their hand right before people got on. And I said, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave because we got a 30-man waiting list. I said, I can't let you disrespect Nelson Mandela. That's who's on my flyer. If you're here for a certificate, you're here for all the wrong reasons. We're here to teach men to be real fathers and real leaders when they walk out of prison to stop this vicious cycle.
That's right.
So tell them dudes they got to leave, and I don't think anyone ever left. They'd be like, oh no, man, I really do want to be here. But some guys are embarrassed and they want to act cool in prison and act like, man, I'm just here for a certificate. But really, you need to be there to get something out of it. Because if it's about a certificate, then I'm failing, and I'm failing you, and you're failing me. So
now there was an incredible, and let me just say this: in Florida, in the state of Florida, there are no programs. It is a joke. They give you an EOS book that nobody looks at. Nobody's teaching you how to balance a checkbook or use the new iPhone that they sent to me in work release that I thought was a Hewlett Packard from 1984. I cried for 3 days. I didn't even know how to work it. Thank God I had computer skills before. I've met so many women who didn't know how to use a computer. They didn't know how to use the chip on the debit card. It's such simple little skills that we are literally letting them out of prison to just fall on their face. Now, and what I wanted to say was Bradenton Bridges. They had a program here in Florida called the Bridges is what it was. I was lucky enough to be one of the girls who was sent to the Bridges of Bradenton. It dealt with cognitive therapy. It was incredible, and they shut it down for lack of funding all across the state. It was the closest thing to reentry that men were going to get close to. I've had a lot of people reach out talking about the same idea you have about the homes and the reentry homes. Why are we not doing this for our public? Why are we sending them to prisons and not educating them or giving them any help? Why are we not funding reentry?
Well, people need to understand that too. The taxpayers, it benefits the taxpayer to help people, to rehabilitate them. They don't reoffend, they become taxpayers. I mean, there's a big picture there. And a lot of the taxpayers don't realize that.
Right. Well, they don't understand a lot of things that let's just talk about getting arrested. They think that jail provides everything that you're going to need to be housed there. Lie. You go to prison, you get everything. You get 3 hots and a cots. Okay, well, what about that toothpaste or that toothbrush, or Lord forbid I need some female hygienes? They don't provide that. They don't provide that. I had to buy my own toilet paper. Thank God I had money.
Oh, toilet paper, that's another thing. Toilet paper is almost impossible to get in prison sometimes.
But that's gold.
I've seen fist fights over toilet paper in there.
Who hasn't tried to be a female? I was lucky enough to have an outside maintenance job, and I was fortunate that my boss had a roll on the card every day, or Lord knows there have been many times. See, they don't know that. The general public, until it happens to their loved one, they are unaware. of what happens in this country.
For sure.
So go ahead and I'm just so excited. I can't wait to read your book. I have heard nothing but good things about it. I heard he's funny in it. I heard it pulls at your heartstrings. His real character comes out. We can't wait to have him back on the show. Blood on the Razor Wire, you guys. Please, it's on Amazon. I got it. 2 day shipping for free. Anything that you want to talk, anything else you want to say, please, please.
I want to talk about my YouTube channel too. I want people to go there and subscribe.
I've got it up right now. It's on the ticker.
Okay. So the YouTube is Blood on the Razor Wire TV. And I want people to know what the mission is, right?
Do it.
Some people get a misconception when they see, some of the thumbnails like Killer Instincts and things like that. But the mission of Blood on the Razor Wire is to save kids from life imprisonment and premature death. But that's through our stories so they can see how real it is. This isn't 60 days in where guys are fist fighting or doing things like people are being killed in these prisons. And I put out a video today, actually, where I was in prison with a guy that spent 15 years in solitary confinement. He bit his fingers off. He tattooed his whole body with a razor blade and an ink pen. He cut his earlobes off. He bit his one finger off and brought it outside the wreck inside a pill bottle.
Nice.
And, I mean, just it's a sad, sad story, but I want people to see what happens and what we're doing to people. This guy was he robbed the bank, went to prison, but he didn't have any mental health issues. He ended up escaping, and they put him in the ADX for 15 years. He had no human contact. He smashed his TV after a couple years, and he just sat in a cell alone, and it absolutely destroyed him. And he is Jack John Powers. He's the reason why they're stopping all this stuff all over the country, why they were shutting down things at the ADX where they couldn't keep people in there for all those amounts of years. He's that guy. And I was the only guy that I guess you could say is on your show that had the balls to go in a rec cage with him. He was also from New York. I'm from Rochester. He's from Syracuse. They wouldn't let him have a cellie. They wouldn't let anybody live with him. But they started to see he was starting to deteriorate, so they let me go in a rec cage with him. And I did that. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you, I was a little bit worried about going in a rec cage with him. Yeah. I mean, the guy's biting his fingers off. I mean, what can you do to hurt a guy like that, right? So I have that on the YouTube channel. That came out today. Got a lot of other good content where I'm talking to guys that, seen some brutal, brutal things. And hopefully I'll be able to have some former prisoners that turned into attorneys will be on the show. I mean, that's what we're looking forward to. But we're pushing a mission, and I'm asking all your viewers to go hit that YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. I promise you will not be disappointed. As for the book, Amazon. Read the first 3 chapters for free. If you don't want to move forward, then forget it. But I promise you that you will.
Awesome. Listen, while you were hitting on that, I actually printed something from Albany, New York about the Senate passed the Humane Alternatives to Long-Term Solitary Confinement, the HALT program, sponsored by Senator Julia Salazar. Awesome reading, man. Awesome reading. Because it does. It messes with your psyche. We don't do that to animals. We certainly shouldn't be doing it to other human beings. And I would also like to comment, sometimes our names or what we put as our content sometimes is to get people to watch, is to get people to be aware. And sometimes it is that grabby, jazzy little thing. But you know what? Don't be so offended, public. Have an open mind. Just watch. I want you guys to go to www.freedomfighters.com. I also want you to go to YouTube, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Like and subscribe. Also, don't forget Amazon Blood on the Razor Wire by Chad Marks. We were so excited to have you in tonight. I hope this won't be your first time. Can't wait to have you on, hopefully after I read your book.
Not a problem. I'm always here for you. I appreciate you and everything that you're doing as well. And I mean that.
Thank you. Now, listen, I just want to say one thing to you. Well, 2 things. There's somebody who's hit me up that actually needs somebody like you who knows about the law. They're looking for a spokesperson. So maybe we can talk about that later on. I think you'd be fantastic at it. I know nothing of that. I do things like this. I would only love to have that knowledge up here. I want to say one thing to you. I'm proud of you. I am proud of your soul, your spirit, your mind, your person. What a beautiful soul you have. I can't wait. You're going to do big things. You already are. The testimony you have, it's just beautiful. I
I
look
appreciate
forward to having a long friendship with you.
it. Me as well.
All
You have
right.
a good night. All right.
You too. Thank you so much for joining us, Chad. You guys, it has been great. As you see up here, we have blood on the razor wire. Please go like and subscribe. YouTube, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Also, don't forget us here at Pure Prison. You guys, it has been so nice to be with you this evening. We look forward to speaking with Chad again and look forward to all the work that he's doing. You guys, just remember, peace or pain. Every choice brings you one or the other. Choose wisely. Out, guys.